Let your discourse with men of business be short and comprehensive.
The land where Colvin Run Mill now stands was originally owned by George Washington. Washington had dreamed of building a mill on the property after his presidency, but a man named Shepherd shattered that dream when he invaded Washington's property and claimed the rights for himself.
He comes out to resurvey the property so that he can prove to Richmond that it was his property, and then rides back to Mount Vernon through a light rain. 2 weeks later, our first president dies. And dead men don't file suit in Fairfax County, so Shepherd was granted claim to about 4.5 acres of property here. Now, in 1802, coincidentally 1 month after Martha Washington died, Shepherd discovered another 40 acres of vacancy here, and that too was granted, and Shepherd, building on Washington's foundations, we believe, started construction of what we have today, the Colvin Run Mill.
The structure of the mill was based on a design by inventor Oliver Evans. It was Evans's creation of the automatic grist mill that revolutionized today's automatic industry. During the 1800s and the early 1900s, a merchant mill of this magnitude could produce 900 pounds of flour a day when powered by a 20-foot water wheel, wooden gears, and grinding stones.
Mills are huge in the economic development of the Commonwealth, in that from the late 1700s through the mid-1800s, flour manufacturing here in Virginia was one of the primary economic forces driving the Commonwealth. When you look at the amount of flour production in the United States during that period, Virginia is right at the top. And so it was a huge industry for Northern Virginia.
The grinding stones used during this time period were made from French bar, which was found in a quarry outside Paris. This stone is believed to be the hardest and best stone for making a higher yield of fine wheat flour and can be seen today at Colvin Run Mill.
A grinding station consists of 2 millstones. We first have our bed stone, which sits in the floor. It's here. It has furrows cut into it. The furrows are these grooves you see coming across the millstone, and the flat areas are known as lands. The bedstone is totally stationary. A spindle protrudes through the center of the bedstone, and on that spindle sits an iron bar known as the driver. This millstone is known as the runner stone. It will be picked up, it will be moved over by the stone crane and lowered into place on top of the spindle, and together they will work together to grind the grains.
The greater face gear that is attached to the axle of this 20-foot water wheel will power all the wooden gears in the mill, allowing the grinding stones, grain elevators, and sifting machinery to work.
It has to fill up approximately 3 buckets before the wheel will start to rotate. It's actually the weight of the water that delivers the power to the mill. It's not the flow of the water. The only thing important about the flow of the water is to fill up the bucket before it passes by. So you need enough flow to fill up the bucket completely to get maximum power.
Downstairs below the grinding stones are the gears and the sifting machines.
From here, the miller can judge the quality of his grind. He can use his sense of feel to tell if the grain is being ground fine enough. Should it require another adjustment, he can reach up here, and through this series of levers, he can actually adjust the gap between the millstones. By slightly adjusting this lever, it allows the stone spindle to drop, which brings the runner stone closer to the bed stone, which will cause the grain to start come out finer.
Today, Colvin Run Mill is owned and maintained by the Fairfax County Park Authority. The mill is used for educational purposes. You'll hear stories about Oliver Evans, whose ideas revolutionized the milling industry, the family that originally ran Colvin Mill Run, and learn about George Washington's plans for a mill on Colvin Run.
One of the things that we find most enjoyable about our mill is that it is an industrial history, a history of folks who work for a living. We've managed to save a lot of the big plantation houses in this area and all throughout the South, but we really don't have much of a monument to what the other 95% of the population was doing. And here at Colvin we do. We have an early industrial site, somewhat unusual, especially for the South, but also more of a tribute to the common people of our past.
Plan your visit to Colvin Run Mill by visiting www.fairfaxcounty.gov/parks.